Hello YouTube, this is the Magnum94 here, and this is part 2 of my Xbox One rant. Now, I don't really know how I went from making no videos about this at all to making 2 in the same week, but it's worth it because Microsoft just revealed a whole bunch of new information about the Xbox One. Now, let me just go over all of them and then tell you my opinion about each one. Xbox One consoles must check in online once per day. If you don't do so, you can't play games, period. You just can't play games at all if you don't check in. Now, this doesn't really happen to me very much, but I know in places where there isn't very good internet, the internet cuts out for like a day, or even more sometimes. Or if you just have kind of bad internet and it goes in and out. If you can't connect, you can't play games on the console. And I don't know if this necessarily means you can't play games period if you don't connect every single day, or if you don't connect that day, you can't play until you reconnect. I want to say it's just you can't play until you reconnect, but knowing what other stuff they're doing, it might just be you can't play games period. And also, you can't even play single-player games. I don't even understand how that's possible for you not to be able to play single-player games unless you're connected to the internet. That's just stupid. But apparently, you can watch TV and stream movies without connecting to the internet, but not play games. So, again, that just means that the main focus of the thing is not games, which is the main problem for it. If it's not going to be focused on games, why wouldn't you just make an entertainment center and not a gaming console? I mean, I know that's pretty much what it is, but take gaming out of it if it's not the main focus. Make a separate console that focuses mostly on gaming. And again, if you don't have internet, you just can't play games, even single-player games. That's the main issue with this thing. Like, I know there's a whole huge game issue, but that right there is the main issue I have with this thing. The fact that you need internet to play games, but you don't need internet to play or watch movies and watch TV, which probably would usually go through internet, so I don't know how that would really work. Now, they say they're doing this so that once every day they can issue mandatory patches, updates to your system, but really they're just doing this to make sure you don't hack the system or add cheat codes to the video games you play. I don't even know if that's legal, really. If they I mean, force watching you to make sure you don't. I mean, I know hacking and cheat codes are a bad thing to the companies, but I mean, if you want to lay restrictions on hacking and cheat codes, that's fine, but don't screw over the entire gaming industry just because of a select few who mess with your console. It even gets even better. Since, say your internet does go out, and you still want to play your games, so you can't play your games because it's basically a brick if you don't have internet. So if you want to go over to your friend's house and play your games, you pop your disc in. I'll log into your Xbox Live account. It asks you to log in. Say, okay, I'll log in. You play Call of Duty Ghosts for an hour, which makes sense because every hour it kicks you offline and you have to reconnect. Once every hour, if it's not your Kinect or not your Xbox One, what were they thinking? I know people who have an Xbox 360 at home, and then when they move, and they have another one at their away home or at their dorm. If you want to, which one, it would be so annoying for you to go home and only be able to play for an hour at a time before it kicks you off. You have to get back on. If you're playing the game, you don't want to just have to play your game, it kicks you off. You don't want to do that. You want to keep playing your game. And here's the thing about giving games to a friend. If you want a friend to borrow your game, you can let your friend borrow a game, but only once per game. Once per game. And they have to be your friend for a set amount of time. It didn't say, but it's probably for like a month, at least, on your Xbox Live account. They have to be your friend on Xbox Live for like a month, and you can only gift a game to their friend once. And then you... And I know that's not that big of a deal, but it's still kind of an inconvenience. Like, say you want to get the game back because you're not finished with it, and your friend got to the point you were. You want to finish it first. You can't give it back to them because you already lent it to them. And if they don't want to get the game, but they want to keep playing your game, they can't do that because, again, they probably have to pay another fee if that did happen. Because, again, you probably have to pay a fee in order to play games that are used. There's so many things wrong with this. Microsoft will not impose game activation fees on users. That'll be up to the publishers to decide. So, it apparently won't. So, game activation fees for used games, will not necessarily be a thing for every single game. But considering the publishers you're partnering with, Activision, Ubisoft, and EA, there's those three, maybe not Ubisoft, Activision and EA, they're definitely going to oppose especially EA, they're going to oppose impose the used game activation fee. Especially, like, EA, I would be surprised if they didn't, considering they took down their used game pass, which shouldn't have been there anyway. Like, why would you have to pay for online if you've already bought the game? I know so that EA will get $10 from your purchase, but $10 isn't anything. Like, why would they even bother with that? And, like, those three companies, they're most likely gonna impose that, and those are the three big companies that are gonna be working on your system. So pretty much a good majority of the games are gonna have a used game activation fee. So there's no real point in even putting that. And I'm pretty sure, unless it's a company who likes who isn't in it just for the money, who actually listen to their fans, which people who work for Xbox, not trying to bash them, but they don't really seem to listen to their fans very much, as you can tell from this information right here. I don't think there's going to be that many games that won't impose the used game activation fee. Game rentals and letting a friend borrow a copy of your game will not be available at launch, but Microsoft is working on a solution. Why? Why is game rentals and letting people borrow a copy not available at launch? Because, I mean, if you don't want to get a lot of games at launch because you want to wait to see like what the ratings are on it and stuff, you don't want to get the game right away, so you would wait a little bit before you pay full price for it. That's what rentals are for. So you're telling me that if I go to Blockbuster, Blockbuster has some games you can buy for rental. If I go to Blockbuster and I want to rent a game for my Xbox One, I can't run it on my console until later. But I don't want to buy that game. How do I know if it's good yet? I know that's how original games are, but we're in the 21st century. We don't we need to know everything about the game before we buy it, and that's how I am personally. Like, if a game gets a good rating and stuff, I want to get it. Like, if a game gets a good rating, but I haven't really seen any other information about it, then I want to at least have an experience with it first before I put money into it, or big money into it, because rentals cost a little bit. But if you're gonna put this restriction on giving your friends a game, why would you just leave that out anyway? I mean, it's better than, I guess once is better than none, but if it's not going to be at launch, just don't add it if it's going to be restricted. I wonder how long it's going to be before working in progress that they're having it, because they're working on a solution apparently. I wonder how long that's going to be, like a year after launch. And then we get into the Kinect features. Kinect will not record you in standby mode and won't send data back to Microsoft unless you opt in. So the Kinect has now been turned into a spy box. Like, it'll record you while it's on, and it always has to be on in order for you to do anything on your Xbox One. I'm not even going to say play games, because that seems to be the lowest priority for this thing anyway. It always has to be on, and is always watching you. And unless you say otherwise, it'll send information back to Microsoft, meaning it watches your every move. Probably another hacker and cheating tactic to make sure you don't do that, because I'm sure, like, if they catch you hacking it or something and the Kinect is on, you forget to tell it otherwise to not send it to Microsoft, it'll probably lock up your system because they apparently have that power. And, like, you can put it in standby mode, but you can't turn it off. I don't understand the thought process in any of this. You can use games and game rentals, they're done. The Kinect, no one wanted, people bought the Kinect, but only probably because they bought a Wii 2 and they were just saying, hey, the Wii is pretty cool. So, and the motion controls are pretty cool, so we want that for Xbox too. So, yeah, I do agree. I think the Kinect did the motion controls a little better. It was a little less responsive, but I think the whole, like, not being able to use the control thing is pretty cool. But hardcore gamers, that should be Microsoft core audience and their target audience, they didn't want the Kinect because it was too gimmicky. It didn't work very well. And if they didn't want the Kinect, why would you make it a priority and why would you make it like it has to be there? If people don't want it to be there, yeah, they can turn on standby mode, but it's still on. You still have to say, like, give commands to it in order to control your stuff. So you can't turn it off. Your controller goes through your Kinect first, and then into your Xbox. So it's kind of backwards, considering the Kinect doesn't even need the controller in order to function. You are the controller. Oh, and another thing. Speaking of controller, the controller is so innovative that the triggers, when you press down on them, they give a little jolt, so it feels like you're actually shooting that gun. Again, their target audience being, like, gun shooting, like first-person shooters, like it was last gen. Which, if you like that stuff, that's where you go anyway. But I would much rather them expand a little bit. Like, they don't really have much other than that in racing. And I remember an interview with someone from the Xbox company after the reveal. They asked them, will the jolts sent out by the L2 and R2 triggers, will they possibly cause a delay in the game? And they said possibly. So your innovative vibrating buttons that aren't really that cool and more so annoying than anything. I think Rumble's pretty annoying personally, but that's just my opinion. If it's in the triggers, it'll cause a distraction for you. It's not really that innovative. It's not really wanted. And if it's going to cause the game to be a little less responsive, then why even put it in there? Oh, and also, the joystick is now, I think, 25% faster, which I don't really see why that's a good thing, because sometimes when you're doing, especially in fighters, when you're wanting to do combos really fast, you want to like jump and then do like an over attack. If you do like up over really fast, in order if you like dash in the air, which some of them you can do, and then attack, it would just it wouldn't register the over if it did it too fast, or it wouldn't register the up if you did it too fast. Like in Injustice, I know if you want to do like a combo, you go down and over. Sometimes it just does over, and that's on the PS3, like my friend has. And sometimes it just doesn't register the down, so you don't complete the combo. And if the joystick is 25% faster, there's a greater chance that it won't register some of the controls fast enough. Maybe they'll find a way around that. Maybe they'll get it more responsive, but sorry about that. I still think it'll be a little off for at least some of the time. Now, I can totally see why they call this thing the anti-consumer box. That's pretty much what it's being called now. You don't own your games anymore. Like, you put the disc in. Well, first you buy it. It's yours until you put the disc in. Then the disc is copied onto the hard drive, and then it's not yours anymore, because the disc isn't what plays the game. The data is already on the hard drive. So if you want to give it to a friend, it would have to wipe it from your system. I think they're still going with this. You have to wipe it from your system, put it on your friend's, and then when you get it back, it then reinstalls it. Even or the one time you can give them that disc, it always has to be online. Well, not always, but you have to have an internet connection to play single player games. Like, even if a game doesn't have a multiplayer mode, you still have to do that. There's an activation fee for used games. There's so many things that these people are trying to get money from you. Like, again, you have to pay for Xbox Live, the thing that you need in order to play your games. So if some people just didn't get Xbox, because $60 for a month, for a year, you just don't want to pay that. So, some people just didn't get it because they weren't going to play online with their friends, but now that you have to go online in order to play any game, you have to pay them that $60, maybe even $70 now because of all the features and stuff it has, or maybe even more than that, a year. Like, I know that's not very much for a whole year, but it's still kind of an inconvenience to lose $5 every month. And I honestly want to know why anyone would like this. Microsoft fans don't want it because it's not about gaming anymore. Casual TV watchers aren't going to want this because it costs too much and it's too gimmicky, and if you don't have an internet connection, you can't do anything on it. Well, yeah, you can, because you can watch TV and movies on it through no internet, which is really stupid. Casual gamers aren't going to want this because most of them already moved on to either Nintendo or iPad or iPhone. And people who like the Kinect probably won't want it anymore. The select few that do don't want it anymore because, again, all the things wrong with it. There's the Kinect now watching you and sends information back to Microsoft. I seriously don't know who or what their target audience is. Like I said, if they're trying to appeal to a casual audience, it's not going to work because even they know enough about this thing that they're not gonna get it. Now, there have been rumors that the PS4 is going to implement some form of used game policy, which is very likely because if EA wants to put a game on the Xbox One and they get money from the used game, then they wouldn't want to put it on the PS4 too, because they wouldn't get money from that. Which is another reason, probably another reason why Nintendo isn't getting any EA games right now, although I think they retracted that statement a little while ago. I'm going to make a video about them later on, in case you haven't noticed. I have a lot of beef with them. I mean, every Nintendo fan does, but yeah, PS4, they'll about have to do some kind of anti-consumer tactic in order to keep up with the Xbox One, in order to get games for it, because a lot of games are actually going to come to the system because of all these things wrong with it, which is kind of ironic. Like, the system that has the most things wrong with it, the one that no one is going to buy, is the system that is going to get the most games, because they're going to get revenue from used games. They're gonna get more sales because your friend can't borrow it more than once, because they have to go buy the game themselves. You can't really rent games at launch, so GameFly and other games like that are pointless. So you have to go get the game yourself if you want to play it. Have to check in online so they can automatically patch the game or add updates to the system. So again, it's ironic, but I think Xbox is going to have the biggest library this generation. I really hope that either the Wii U or the PS4 destroys this thing. Like the Wii U has already gotten 2 significant boosts on Amazon since the thing has been announced, and the Sony stocks has risen exponentially. So not very much stuff is looking good for Xbox, and I think the Xbox 360 sales are decreasing because of this too. Like, people just don't want to support you anymore because of all these stupid tactics that you're forcing onto us. I put this video on way too long. I'm getting with this. If you buy an Xbox One, don't expect to be satisfied by it. Or, I mean, if you're getting it to play games, you should either get a PS4 or Wii U, depending on what games you like. And I seriously hope that this thing flops way harder than the Wii U was ever predicted to be. Because if the Wii U is doomed, and it's actually getting games, it has good hardware, good software, good hardware compared to this generation anyway, or the 7th generation. And if it's having good games, good hardware, good third-party support now, and this thing had better just die. I'm serious. If the thing, that's another thing. I know I'm gonna end it, but I need to get this out. Another thing that bad about this is if it does sell somehow, that'll force PS4 or the next PlayStation and the next Nintendo device to use these tactics, because that is all that sells. And that's another reason why I want this thing to flop so bad, so that the next Wii or next Nintendo console and the next PlayStation, they won't have to use these tactics in order to get fans, or in order to in order to survive. Microsoft, I didn't like you before this. I hate you now. I'm sorry if I offend any Microsoft fans, but that's just how I feel. Goodbye.